I'm back with another hair video for you guys. But before we get started with this video, can you please be sure to subscribe? That way I know that you guys are enjoying the content that I'm creating and I can continue to create content for you guys. This video is going to be about wash and go mistakes. I decided that Sunday was going to be my one day out of this month that I do my wash and go. Because as you guys remember from the last video, that was a hair video, I said that I was going to do at least one wash and go a month. So I decided that Sunday I would do a wash and go and try to last it for the whole week. But it didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to be. So since it didn't turn out the way I wanted it to be, I was like, why not make this negative a positive and create a video about it and tell people where they made mistakes? Because I know where I made mistakes. Sometimes if you're a new natural, you might not know where you made a mistake. So I'm here to help you guys out, okay? So tip number 1 is not using enough water. So if you're not using enough water and you're working on dry hair, then you're of course not going to get the defined results that you want, and then your wash and go is going to be very poofy and your product is just going to sit right on top of your hair. I've never really been one to actually use gel on dry hair, and if I do, it's because I'm going to do like a bun or a ponytail or something of that nature, but not for a wash and go. For wash and goes, you want to make sure that your hair is completely saturated with water and then use your stylers, such as your gel and your custards and your curling creams and everything else. So tip number 2 is that you're not using enough product. So sometimes you might saturate that section with a lot of water and then you might get a little scared to be a little heavy-handed with the product. So I'm not gonna sit there and, put that much product on my hair. Well, I'm here to let you know right now, if you don't put that much product on your hair, you're probably not gonna have that best of definition. So you don't wanna go overboard with it, but at the same time, you do want enough product in your hair. Because even if you have too much, you could go through and refresh the style as you go. And if you do end up with product buildup in your hair, it's okay because you can always go in with a clarifying shampoo on wash day and clear all of the product that you have in your hair, and you will have a stripped clean slate, so then you can go in and restyle again without the buildup. Tip number 3 is you want to detangle beforehand. So before I started really understanding my hair and really getting a feel for my hair, I was not really detangling my hair. I would just finger detangle and I thought that was it, but I wasn't really smoothing things out, getting enough kinks out, because when I would take my hair down out of any style or trying to do wash and goes and things, I would get a lot of tangles and the little 2-strand knots or whatever the little knot things are called. But I would get those little knots at the bottom of my hair a lot. And I just noticed that, my styles weren't turning out the best. So I started to actually start detangling my hair along the way of styling, and I noticed a significant change in my hair, and I've noticed that I've even lost less hair while detangling to do a style rather than to not detangle and do a style. So detangling does work. I think that everybody should detangle with at least some sort of a brush before doing some sort of a style. Okay, so tip number 4 is you want to know the level of hold that your product has. So there's different types of products that you could use for wash and goes. There's curling creams, there's custards, and there's gels. And they have different levels of hold. So for a curling cream, they might have a little bit more hold than a custard. A custard probably has the least amount of hold than all of these things, but it just depends on the product that you have at hand too. A gel might have the max amount of hold, but it also depends on what kind of a gel it is. One of my favorite gels is Eco Styler Gel and Wetline Extreme. Wetline Extreme is like the ultimate max amount of hold though that you can get. If something says that it has light hold, that means you're going to get more of a pillow soft look. If something says that it has medium hold, that means that you might get a light crunch, but not too much of a crunch, meaning that you could still wear your hair throughout the week, but at the same time, it's not going to have that strong hold. Now, if something is extreme hold, then that means that you're going to get a style where you're going to have a strong crunch, meaning you're going to have to scrunch out that crunch. But at the end of the day, your style is going to look poppin' because it's going to be able to last you for like the whole week, maybe even 2 weeks. So yeah, that's my kind of hold. I like me a whole extreme hold. It's going to hold together for the rest of this week. That's what I like. Yeah. All right, guys, so tip number 5 is using a good defining technique. So what I mean by defining technique means that you're using the shingling method or the prayer hands method or the raking method, or you're using some sort of a tool that will give you that definition, like a Denman brush or any other type of thing that would give you some sort of definition for your hair. So with those methods, the more that you do them and the more you try to smooth out those strands, the better that your style will come out. For all those different types of techniques, I've been one to use the prayer hands method and the raking method. Those methods work the best for me, plus I get through with my wash and goes quick. So I like to use those methods, but I've known that some people use the shingling method, and that's probably one of the best methods to get you some really good definition that can last you for a while. But me, I don't really like to sit there and shingle because I don't want to sit there and take the time to actually curl each strand of my hair. Like, I don't know, I just don't have time for that. So I don't be doing that. So I just go ahead and I do the raking method or the prayer hands method. That's probably the easiest method for me. And as far as the Denman brush, I've tried using the Denman brush, but I did not like the way that it looked on my hair, and there was just a thing about, oh, maybe just use it for your ends, but I'm kind of the type of a person where I like the definition from my roots to my ends, so I just didn't like the way that it looked. So I'm just not a firm believer in using a Denman brush on my natural hair. I'm just not for it. The next one is your hands are constantly in your hair, so it's manipulating your style. So you might see that you have great definition or something with your curls, and then all of a sudden you keep running your fingers through it, and the next thing you know, it's frizzy. Well, I'm here to let you know that if it's looking frizzy before you sit there and you start to dry it, then it's going to be frizzy after. So the best thing to do is, once you get that section of hair that is completely defined and it looks great and it looks the way that you want it to look, leave it alone and go to the next section and just wait for the rest of those strands to dry. Wait until they dry completely, or at least 90 to 95% dry, or at the bare minimum 75%. But make sure you leave your hands out of your hair once your hair is drying. And speaking of your hair being drying, this was my issue over the course of Sunday into Monday, which is why my style was messed up. But the reasoning my style didn't turn out good is because I did not wait until it was completely dry. I just went ahead and was like, you know what, I'm getting tired. I don't feel like using my hooded dryer, so I'm just gonna go ahead and put my hair and wrap it up and just go to sleep because I'm tired. And when I woke up the next morning, it was very frizzy in certain areas and it was still trying to dry. So just make sure that when you do wash and goes, try to get your hair as dry as possible before you try to wrap it up, because otherwise you're going to end up with frizz and your style is going to be manipulated, and all that time that you put into trying to get your hair curly, it's going to be put in vain. So please listen to me when I say that. And my last tip number 8, is my style does not look the same as it was when it was wet compared to the way it is when it's dry. And the reasoning behind that is because of shrinkage. So once you are styling your hair, you might have tons of elongation. That is because the water is weighing your hair down. But when it dries and it shrinks up. So think of it like a towel or clothes. Now, when clothes or something is wet, it tends to hang, it tends to be a lot heavier. But once it dries up, then that's when it starts to shrivel up, right? So it's the same with your hair. And with your hair, you just have to be very comfortable with the way your hair looks as far as dealing with shrinkage. With me, I had to get that understanding, and I had to just it's kind of more of a self-love type of a thing. You have to really just know your hair. You have to love your hair. You have to love the way your hair looks, regardless of the shrinkage or not. Like, I used to not really like my shrinkage, but now I love it. I think that it looks good, you know. I like the volume look now, so that's what I love, you know, that's what I like with my hair. So tip number 8 is really you just having to be comfortable with the look of your hair being in a shrunken state. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't find ways to elongate your hair, but I would say if you are trying to elongate your wash and go, do not do it while it's wet, because that is a part of tip number 6, which was to not mess with your hair while it is wet. So you do not want to mess with your hair in the wash and go while it's wet. Just wait until it dries and then try to stretch it out. So those are my tips for mistakes that you might make while doing a wash and go. So if you guys like this video, please be sure to thumbs it up, so then that way I know that you guys like content like this. And also be sure to comment, like, and subscribe. If you guys haven't already, make sure you follow me on all my social medias. They'll be listed in the comment section down below and in the outro. But guys, that's all that I have for you guys today. I'll catch you guys in my next one. Bye.